Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. How the history of the automobile industry in Nigeria dates back to the pre-independence era when the Western world introduced its use to Nigeria. Now, during the oil boom of the 70s, 6 automobile assembly plants were established in the country, and these brought about quick development to the industry. Now, decades after the nation went through tough times and setbacks in its efforts to keep the wheel of progress in the automobile world turning, it is gradually rewriting the story with breakthroughs in domestic technology and innovative solutions in meeting national targets. Now, part of the government's decision to revamp the sector, the National Automotive Design and Development Council was established and has been manned by a world-class automobile designer, Jelani Aliyu, to encourage and promote the growth of local content. Tonight, Tuesday Live will assess the journey so far and this effort. But before we go into the program, let's get to see this report by Justin Bem Onyi.
The automotive industry in Nigeria dates back to 1950s and consists of the production of passenger cars and commercial trucks. Early production was led by the assembly line of Bedford TJ trucks made by United Africa Company subsidiary, Federated Motors Industries, and SCOA's production of Peugeot 404 pickup trucks. Significant development began in the sector in Nigeria in the 1970s during a period of oil boom where the federal government signed joint venture partnerships with foreign car manufacturers to assemble vehicles and provide technical assistance towards vertical integration within the local industry. These foreign brands went on to dominate the industry from the middle of the 1970s to the end of 1980s, which then went comatose. And just recently, there had been a consideration that the potential market size for vehicles in Nigeria makes it an industry in which the country should have a competitive advantage, since the auto industry is strongly driven by economies of scale. And this, among other considerations, necessitated the government to awaken the industry to harness the potentials therein with the approval of the new Automotive Industry Development Plan in 2013.
We need to look at where we were. About 7 years ago, there was very, if not an absence of production or assembly in Nigeria. Then because of the efforts of the NAIDP, the National Automotive Industry Development Plan, automotive manufacturing and assembly came back to Nigeria.
On vehicle electrification, the National Automotive Design and Development Council (NADDC) has worked on the engineering and product development of 2 Nigerian and Africa-specific vehicles believed to contribute towards national development.
These vehicles would be powered by new types of energy, renewable energy sources. They'll also leverage on the National Gas Expansion Program.
In a tireless quest to locally produce automobiles in the country, the federal government wants to scale up the production of e-cars, calling for private partnership, and is also moving a step further in technology transfer.
So we're saying, how do we move beyond the production and assembly of vehicles? We need to go into technology transfer. So we have commissioned the first 100% solar-powered electric vehicle charging station. This is a 100% renewable energy powered charging station to provide energy for these electric vehicles.
Industrialization is proven to be the only way to go when it comes to creating jobs for millions of people. And talking about industrialization, experts have disclosed that no other sector can create jobs as fast as the automotive sector if given the right conditions. And the federal government says that is why it remains resolute to promote local production of automobiles to support job creation and a better nation. Justin Bemui, NTA News.
All right, that report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest tonight. I would like to welcome to this program the Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC, Jelani Aliu, who holds the national honors of Member of the Order of the Federal Republic, MFR. Jelani, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
It's been
good
quite
to
a
be
while.
here. It has.
Right. Okay. All right. We are also joined tonight via Zoom by engineer Ibrahim Isa Gachi. He is Managing Director at Dangote Peugeot Automobiles Nigeria Limited. He is in Lagos. He joins us via Zoom. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you.
We are also joined by Manish Rotagi, Managing Director of Vaughan Automobiles Nigeria Limited and Managing Director Stallion Auto Keke Limited. He's also in Lagos and joins us via Zoom. Good to see you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right,
Thank you,
and
Mr.
also here tonight is Rajinder Malhan. He is Executive Director Stallion Group. He joins us from Dubai via Zoom. Good to have you with us tonight.
Good evening, Amai.
Okay.
Thank you for having us with you.
Right. Let me also welcome to this program Taiwo Shitu, Group Executive Director, Lanre Shitu Motors. He joins us also via Zoom from Lagos. Hello and welcome to Tuesday Live. And also here tonight is Chinedu Ogwebu. He is Managing Director, OMA. He also joins us via Zoom from Lagos. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Gentlemen, we appreciate you all for being on this program tonight. And let's begin to look at Nigeria's automobile industry and the way forward. Now we'll start with you, Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council. Now let's start from when you were first appointed as Director General. What did you see and what was your assessment at that time of this industry in Nigeria? You were just coming in to head this all-important council.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to begin by saying that it's very good to be here and to see you. And I'm also very excited and honored to be back in Nigeria, to have this opportunity on this presidential assignment to head the National Automotive Design and Development Council. I've always believed that this is a great nation and that we must do all that we can, no matter where we are, to come together, work together, and realize a dream of a better Nigeria. I am honored and excited to be able to play my small role in making this happen. President Muhammadu Buhari has committed to lifting at least 100 million people out of poverty. And the surest way to do this is industrialization. And that is why our parent ministry, the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, is so crucial on this journey. And we believe that is why our agency, specifically the National Automotive Design and Development Council, is also crucial on this journey because of the ability of the automotive sector to create hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of jobs. The National Automotive Design and Development Council is the body, the agent, the government agency saddled with the responsibility of developing the local automotive sector. That is to focus and develop the local production of vehicles within the borders of the country as opposed to the continued importation of these vehicles from elsewhere. Because you know that whenever you buy a fully built vehicle made outside Nigeria, you have exported jobs and opportunities outside Nigeria. But when you buy one produced or assembled in Nigeria, you're creating jobs, you're creating opportunities, you're creating a brighter future for the nation and boosting the economy. my leadership at NADDC has really brought about quite a number of significant successes. What we're implementing is the NAIDP, the National Automotive Industry Development Plan, which has 5 key elements: investment promotion, development of infrastructure, market development, development of standards, and skills development. And significant achievement has been made in all these areas.
Right, but you see, one of the things that would interest most people is we're talking about Ejelani Aliu, world-known, I mean, who's made so much waves in the United States with General Motors, for instance. And coming back with that background, it was like coming to start from scratch. What were the biggest challenges here that you thought you could deal with?
Yes, like I mentioned earlier, I see huge opportunities here. I see the need for a comprehensive vision, and NADC being part of that. A little bit of history. In the 70s and 80s, we had quite a number of companies that were up and coming. Peugeot, Volkswagen, Steyr, Anamco, Leyland. Things were really happening, and there was more and more production. We all remember the brand new 504s and Volkswagens. Then around about 1986, something terrible happened. The price of crude oil that the country was so dependent on dropped from $27 to below $10. So overnight, Nigerians became poor. They could no longer buy those new Peugeots and Volkswagens. So those companies folded up, not because they wanted to leave, not because the federal government said stop production. They folded up because Nigerians could no longer afford those vehicles. So things went south, went down. The NAIDP being championed by the NADDC, which actually in the last couple of years has really gotten a boost, has begun to bring about a reverse to that trend. So much that as we speak, over 500 billion naira has been invested by credible companies from both outside and within Nigeria to set up assembly plants and production plants. We have gone from almost zero production after those first set of companies folded to today we're producing electric and gas-powered vehicles. This is what has happened in the last couple of years. And the electric and gas-powered vehicles that came onto the scene within the last 1 year. So I'm very happy, very proud to be part of this renaissance of the Nigerian automotive sector. We have trained within the last couple of years over 30,000 Nigerian youth. We're building about 20 automotive training centers. About half of them are complete. These training centers will be used to really empower young Nigerians, create those jobs that the country desperately needs, give these young Nigerians opportunity to earn a very good living, make a difference to their lives, to the lives of their families, and the country in general. So quite a lot has happened actually in the last couple of years. We're very proud of that. We're going into, like I mentioned, advanced technology. We're not just producing ordinary cars in Nigeria, we're producing renewable powered energy cars in this nation.
Okay, we'll return to you and look at those efforts. But let's go over to Engineer Ibrahim Isa Gechi, MD of Dangote Peugeot Automobiles. Right, well, the name Peugeot was a household name in Nigeria a long time ago. And yes, we had this very popular assembly plant, and you could get, you could afford to buy a Peugeot car at that time. And then things turned for the worse. Now, where do you place Nigeria in the automotive industry today? I mean, huge advancements have been made all over the world. So where do we stand?
Thank you. In Nigeria, as the director NADDC has said, we are developing quite well, and Nigeria has a big potential in the automobile sector. And we can play a big role in boosting the automobile production in Nigeria through very good or protective policies being implemented by the government. and also patronage by the government of the local assemblers. And with that, I'm sure Nigeria will go a long way in becoming an automobile hub in Africa and in the world at large.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to Manish Rotari, MD of Borno Automobiles and Managing Director, Stallion Auto Keke Limited. Volkswagen, that was another household brand. I do recall that my very first car was a Volkswagen, which I bought back then in somewhere about 1979 for a little over 3,000 naira. And today, this country is moving to get back this industry. And we're looking at how many years now and what has happened. Is it going to be affordable to buy whatever brands we are bringing out these days?
Yeah, thank you very much. See, with the policies which have been created and made under DG by NADDC and Ministry of Trade and Finance, I think we have restarted this engine very well. And as we are talking from 2013 onward, things have started taking shape. It is not affordable as of now, but the policies which has been made by NADDC, I'm sure the local produced car are going to be more affordable, because today NADDC is not only working on the technical collaboration or not only from the technical side, they're also mindful of creating a market, which is a huge difference between the earlier approach. And I'm sure going forward, we will see all these vehicles which we are manufacturing here are going to be much more affordable. We are already getting a lot of patronage from not only government sector, but also from private players who want to buy cars and vehicles which are produced and assembled in Nigeria. So I'm sure I echo the ideas which DG has said, that this is a land of opportunities. What we are doing with the NADDC is creating more and more skill sets in Nigeria, so that the country as a whole can benefit out of this growth of automobile sector.
All right, we'll cross over to Dubai and speak to Rajinder Malhan, who's the ED of the Stallion Group. And avail us of your experience in this industry. You're part of what's been worked on now to rejig the entire industry, but we do know that advances have been made. Now the world is moving towards electric cars, and we can't be expected to lag behind. But the challenge here would still be this transition. So give us your experience in how this industry can be managed in present-day times.
Thank you. To give you a background, having been a director of Ashok Leyland, we were the first company to bring the BRT bus to Lagos in 2006. The first 200 buses, it was a major effort between the Lagos state and Ashok Leyland. As DG Jelani has said, we set up workshops, we set up driver training school, we set up the training of all the technicians by which the 200 buses could operate on Lagos roads. That was a good thought which came up from the Lagos state government and Lamata in those days. Now, going forward, as the DG support, we have put up 4 plants in Lagos, basically for buses, trucks, cars, SUVs and pickups. And Manish, after he has joined, we have put up facilities for making the KK, or three-wheeler, the Bajaj three-wheeler. We have a production capacity installed of more than 100,000 vehicles. And we are confident that the market will grow to that level in due course. But more important is, you asked the question, what is the future? The future is clean energy. We were, with the help of the government and the DG, we launched the Hyundai Kona electric vehicle the last year. And now we are trying to bring in light duty trucks for last mile delivery and light duty passenger vehicles, all running on electric, along with the charging infrastructure to get a clean, zero emission atmosphere. The efforts with the support of the government should bear fruit. I think DG will confirm that we are trying to work at the Abuja site for a fleet of vehicles with electric energy and charging support, which is being already done, like solar energy, which the government is supporting us in the charging stations. But more important, which I'm going to request here on site, is that we do need help to create the long-term future for the country. One is we have to have our own testing facilities. The design is being done by the NADCC, but either from India or from Europe, we need a large automobile design testing infrastructure so that the vehicles in Nigeria are no less than what is manufactured anywhere else in the world. The other major issue is, like the heavy-duty vehicles need proper driver training. As Ashok Leyland director, we had once proposed, we have set up a school which is theoretical, but what we do need is an infrastructure for driver training so that anybody driving a long-distance heavy-duty truck has been trained how to use a vehicle and to get the best life of the same. What is required is not much, 50 acres of land, and I'm sure a company like Ashok Leyland would help in setting up infrastructure for driver training. They run 2 units in India and train 200,000 drivers a year, not small. 200,000 truck drivers a year are trained in their driver training center. So we seek the support and blessings of DG in these initiatives. And like he said, to get multinationals to come in, we have Nissan, we have Hyundai, we have Changan, we have Honda. We have a battery of foreign players who are willing to come into Nigeria. And as the market grows, you will see more and more of these big players wanting a share of the market. Nigeria is a huge country.
Okay.
We should be actually producing not less than 200,000 vehicles a year. And that can only happen with the government guidance and policies. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And back to Lagos, we go over to Taiwo Shitu, Group Executive Director, Larry Shitu Motors. And well, in the past, so many of the motor vehicle companies here sold Nigerian at least assembled cars before things fell apart, as it were. Now that there is this rejuvenation of that industry, where would the local motor vehicle companies step in here? Because over time, they became used to importing and selling foreign brands. There was virtually nothing to sell here. So how does this key into this new effort to build Nigeria's industry almost from the scratch? Okay, we're having issues linking up with Larry Shitu, but we also have Chinedu Ogwebu. I believe
Hello.
he's there with
Hello.
us. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Looking at Nigerian auto
Okay, fine.
companies, especially the indigenous sector. For Lion Shitu Motors is 40 years. We are 40 years now. We'll be 41 years by this year, and we've done far. We've gone very far. We finished our first assembly plant. That's our truck assembly plant in Amuodofin, in Lagos, especially precisely. We finished our truck assembly plant in 2018. Yeah, we finished our truck assembly plant in 2018, and our second assembly plant for cars in 2019. So as you can see, these are very recent developments happening in Nigeria. Even in this year we got our truck assembly plant, to let you know that it's not just the foreigners that invest in Nigeria. We have local Nigerians that believe so much in this country. Right now, for last year in December, our truck assembly plant got the best truck plant in Nigeria by the Nigerian Auto Journalists Award. That's the Niger Award. It's the best and the most prestigious award you can ever get in Nigerian automobile sector. Looking at the Nigerian auto industry, we are moving in. We are doing well. We get a lot of support from our DG, and we are driving the auto sector to the next level. We're driving the auto sector to the next level. Not just driving the auto sector to the next level, but employing a lot of Nigerians, taking a lot of Nigerian youth out of the streets. We have a scheme in Automotive Motors whereby we empower a lot of Nigerian youths, especially those ones that maybe they finish secondary school, they can't further the education anymore. We have this empowerment scheme whereby we pay them to train them. We pay them to train them. So when they come in, we pay them in the first year, second year, third year, fourth year. After their fourth year, their salary can go as high as 70,000, 80,000 naira. And once they're done with this training, we secure job opportunities for these young Nigerians without hope before. We secure job opportunity for them with our various clients, numerous clients, and we don't just secure the employment for them, we dictate their salary, we dictate their well-being, where they live, what kind of accommodation they must give them. So the Nigerian auto sector is not what it used to be anymore. There's a lot of revive in the Nigerian auto sector that is good for us to get to know in Nigeria. I have a video here. I don't know if I have a video here. Maybe you can want to see. This is
okay. We probably will get to that much later, but we probably will get to that later on. But let's go over to Chinedu Ogwegbu. He also is in Lagos and joins us via Zoom. If he's there as Managing Director, OMA. Chinedu, OMA is obviously a local assembly industry, right? If I'm correct?
Correct, yes. Well, local brand.
All right. And you do know that Nigerians are said to be very innovative. I mean, from little or nothing, Nigerians have built themselves up. And you recall that even when you had assembly plants, Nigerians, mechanics on virtually every corner of the street could fix virtually all kinds of vehicles. And even after it became so difficult to get in new vehicles, you found some Nigerians who were able to, convert certain vehicles and still keep some others run on the road. Now things have moved to a higher level, and we're looking at this country producing such innovative people who will be in the auto industry to drive it. Now, how are you keen into that from the private sector?
So thank you very much for that question. Quite frankly, talent is evenly distributed, right? What's not is opportunity. So there's a lot going on in the automotive industry globally. Changes, with electrification, with the automation, 3D printing, and all. This is an opportunity for talented Nigerians, talented Africans to contribute to that trend. So what we are doing as OMA, and what you're also seeing in the auto industry where local brands are beginning to spring up, is, we're trying to contribute. So like you said, for the longest time, we have very smart technicians. We have people that have even made things, right? So what we see is, with the rejuvenation of the automotive policy, with the growth that we expect to see in Nigeria and most of Africa, local investors, local brands are going to contribute and play their part. Just last year, we pioneered, we're the first to assemble gas-powered vehicles in Nigeria, in country. And this was totally done by young Nigerian people. I'm probably the oldest guy in the team. So yes, we can contribute. And yes, like Rajendra was saying, yeah, we can make vehicles that can compete anywhere in the world.
All right, we've taken the views of virtually all our guests tonight, but we also do have reports from some of our stations on the matter at stake here. And let's begin with this first report from Lagos by Michael Olale.
Nigeria seems to have been turned into a graveyard for foreign used cars. This because the performance at the automobile sector is low, leading to reliance on imports to meet local demands owing to insufficient domestic vehicle production. This was not the case in the 1970s, when the nation can boast of 6 active automobile plants with capacity to meet the transportation needs of the people. Although the National Automotive Design and Development Council says at present there are 31 licensed manufacturers of vehicles with capacity to produce 205,000 automobiles, just a few are working because of funding challenge. This is a major constraint to the emerging and growing automobile industry in the country.
The question is, the government need to ask them, what is their difficulty? What are the challenges that they have that makes it impossible for them to assemble vehicles in Nigeria?
Abiodun Oshokoya belongs to the maintenance and repair subsector of the industry. He shares his experience on how the private sector is supporting and promoting indigenous skills based on the prospect of the huge market yet untapped.
There are opportunities where we can actually bring up automobile graduate entrepreneurs within 90 days, and they are ready for the market, so that we can promote instead of depending on Tokumbo parts every minute. Most of the parts used on the vehicles can actually be remanufactured. They can actually be rebuilt or remanufactured. So we're working on that project so that we can create employment for the youth.
It is a noble initiative setting the right path to developing the automobile industry, but the worries of practitioners like Abiodun Oshokoya is for the sector to be developed beyond assembling and fixing to proper fabrication of locally made vehicles.
SKD, CKD, basically when you bring in SKD, the vehicles has been assembled. The only thing that is not there is the engine and the gearbox, maybe the windscreen, front windscreen, the windows, and they come in here, they just put in those ones, and then the vehicle is ready. But if it's, assuming it's CKD, at least we know that more people will be employed because you need to join all the parts.
Nigeria, however, is entrenching policies that will promote adoption of 100% local content in vehicle production, and government research institutions are taking a huge leap for the actualization. A good instance is the unveiling of an electric car and solar-powered vehicles charging station by the University of Lagos. Although this will augment research and learning, but it is a futuristic innovation looking beyond the fossil fuel era.
Programs such as these are the lifeblood of everything we're trying to achieve. It is, after all, a proven fact among advanced nations that the key to successful industrialization is strategic human capital and capacity development in state-of-the-art technologies. It is my prayer that very soon we will launch and mass-produce renewable energy-powered vehicles, of which innovative Nigerian youth are an integral part of their conceptualization, design, and development.
Indeed, there is huge potential in the automobile industry in Nigeria, but stakeholders say utilizing local materials for fabrication and design will translate into meaningful job opportunities and wealth.
From Lagos to Maiduguri, where next report originates. Let's go on to Maiduguri and take this other report.
On a daily basis, quantum leap in technology across the globe continues, with innovators thinking outside the box, with evolutionary strides to provide easier means of communication and transportation, among others, for sustainable growth and development. Mustafa Abubakar Gajibo, a young Nigerian inventor in Borno State, made history by displaying his talent and technical know-how in the engineering profession by fertilizing ideas to fabricate a noiseless and 100% zero-emission vehicle towards repositioning the automobile and manufacturing industry for the better. A visit by NTA to the workshop of the young Mustafa Abubakar Gajibo shows different innovations like electric tricycle, ongoing construction of a computerized bus for transit, and others, as well as specialists making the dreams of renewable energy a reality in Borno.
This is the future. This is the way we can still maintain our cost of mobility, cost of transportation. And this is more sustainable.
We already know the dangers that the climate change is posing to the society right now. So what these cars do is it brings or reduce the risks to zero level, whereby there is practically no risk for man out there.
To Gajibo, the future of automobile industry rests solely on the cordial relationship between the public and private sectors for sustainable development.
So I would say so far it's so good. We have moved from building those, converting those buses to designing and building of a fully electric bus, which is going to be fully built here, as you can see. And then we designed it to be a bit lower bed, so as even physically disabled people and old people can find it easy jumping into our bus, because this is a bus designed for mass transit.
The young inventor made passionate appeal to government and non-governmental organizations to give the much-needed support to technological and contemporary initiatives so as to promote indigenous innovative skills for the overall growth of humanity.
As a company which is driven by technology and innovation, we are always looking at ways and how we can solve problems that our people face day by day. We are coming up with many more technologies very soon.
On the part of the government, Commissioner of the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation in Borno State, Engineer Babagana Mustafa Malumbi, revealed that federal government has agreed to allocate 0.5% of the gross domestic product to research and development, which will hopefully boost the morale of the private sector.
We are planning to see how we can use the renewable energy, which is abundant. We have them in abundance here, especially the solar energy, so that we create a charging point for them. Also, we intend to profile all the young innovators, researchers in the state for the purpose of giving them backing, so that we are also giving them training on how to assess international grants.
I'm so overwhelmed to see that our own younger generations, mainly from Borno State, are capable of producing electric cars. This is something that all of us have to praise it.
Right, that report by Umaru Kirawa from Maiduguri Center. Well, you've seen some of these reports. First, we'd like to ask your impressions of what we have seen so far. We'll get to the Maiduguri report with that young innovator who saw there. But let's look at the situation in Lagos and what we had in that report. Right.
Yes. Like I had mentioned earlier, and like the report also mentioned, in the 70s and 80s, we had a thriving automotive industry, Peugeot, Volkswagen, and the others. Then, because of the oil glut of the 70s that led into the 80s, the price of crude oil crashed, and we could no longer afford those new cars. So, Peugeot and Volkswagen and the others didn't stop production because the federal government said stop.
Right.
They didn't stop production because they wanted to. They stopped production because of the recession the country had gone into, and Nigerians could no longer buy those new cars. So Nigerians had to resort, because of the poor economy in those days, to used vehicles. Again, the federal government knew that that couldn't be allowed to happen, to continue, and introduced the NAIDP, the National Automotive Industry Development Plan, which was pioneered, championed, and is now being implemented by our agency. So we went from zero, when all those companies stopped, back to where we are now with an installed capacity of being able to produce 400,000 new vehicles. Now, we're not producing 400,000 new vehicles because still the economy is being worked on. The purchasing power of the average Nigerian is still very low. It is increasing. But if all things were equal, our investors, those who have invested in the Nigerian automotive sector, can produce up to 400,000, if not more, vehicles per year. So it's never been the question of Nigeria can produce this small amount. It's a question of how do you open up the market so that they can produce that many.
One of the biggest challenges in this country, particularly in a place like Lagos, is mass transit. And you could see what happened over time when buses couldn't come in. There are lots of people who, they call that some contraption that were put together by local mechanics. Well, they moved all right and they were able to move people. For a long time. That's without regard, of course, to challenges of pollution and all that. And those became ubiquitous modes of transportation in that part of the country. Now, other parts also adopted it. And gradually, we moved into what is today known as keke napep. In different parts, tricycles, which were not popular as a means of transportation back then. And I'm not even talking about the hordes of motorcycles that have been used for public transportation. Now, this tells that there is a huge need for mass transit, and there's still a shortfall here. Yes, if we could park the cars and have more mass transit buses, but then produced here with an eye on climate.
The challenge here, again, isn't that our investors or our stakeholders cannot produce buses or vans. They can. Given the opportunity, being asked to produce them, they can. So we have quite a number of companies right now that have installed capacity to produce as many buses, as many vans as the nation needs. For some reason, the market hasn't asked for them, but the NADDC, working with these stakeholders, has enabled the capacity to build those buses. So I believe it's a matter of strategy by municipalities, by state governments, to really look at strategies to deploy such types of public transportation. Once those strategies are in place, once those needs are expressed, our assemblers, our manufacturers, Innoson, Oma, Vaughan, and a number of others are ready and capable of producing as many buses as the nation needs. And not just ordinary buses, advanced buses that are up to world standards, that are comparable to buses made from anywhere in the world.
Okay, let's put the same question to Engineer Ibrahim Isa Gachi of Dangote Peugeot Automobiles Nigeria Limited. A lot of Nigerians say, look, the emphasis should now be on mass transportation, mass transit buses, and less on, individual pleasure of cars and things like that. Because, look, you're in Lagos, a city that has so far defied every attempt to ease traffic congestion. With so many cars, so many methods adopted to reduce the congestion. It's not, so many think it's better to concentrate on mass transit buses and de-emphasize personal vehicles. What do you say to that as keen into this revolution, if I might call it? Okay, we'll try and get back the links with Ibrahim Isa Gachi in Lagos. Let's see if we can.
Hello.
Yes. Okay. Right. Are you there now?
Yes.
Good. You got my question right.
Schemes are largely funded by governments. And these governments should patronize the local assemblers of mass transit buses. And once that is done and the market is open, some private sectors will come in also, but largely it's going to be a government there. And the government can change the number of vehicles we have on our roads by deploying mass transit buses on the roads.
Yes, okay. Well, we just move over to Manish, and well, they say you can't reinvent the wheel, and therefore many of the companies today, I mean, it's a matter of taking parts from different parts of the world and hardly concentrate everything in one place. Is that what we're looking here as we talk about reviving this industry in this country? I mean, you don't have to produce every part of it, or are we back to when we would need to produce every part to make it a complete indigenous vehicle?
I think we are taking steps to localize many parts. For example, today our buses, we get about 40% or 35 to 40% local parts when we assemble a bus at our plant. We are taking a lot of efforts to get at least about 7-8 parts locally produced for our KKs. So we are working in line with the government policies, and there has been a lot of improvement towards that. There are vendors who are coming up and setting up their shops to produce components which are world-class components and which can be used to produce world-class automobile in Nigeria. So we are taking steps towards that, and the government policies for that are right now much favorable. Most of, as I told you before, many of the private players as well as government, state government and federal government agencies, they are currently patronizing products which are produced locally. So they also want to know what kind of local component we are using. And thanks for getting to that. I would see it is not only about the governmental agencies, but also every Nigerian has to look at how they can contribute. Sometime when you want to grow the nation, you also look at little sacrifice. I would urge everybody to look at things when they buy. It is not only about automobile. I'm talking on in general. The items which can be produced locally, there's no need for us to go and buy from outside.
Okay.
So we are of that policy at Stallion Group. We have been working effortlessly for bringing local content, and we are committed with the government policies.
Oh, all right. Digi, let's come back to you here, and we'd like to understand how this works. What is the local assembled vehicle, and the other part of it where there are already international brands who decide to come and set up in the country. They still produce their brands, but it's largely fabricated here in Nigeria. What's the difference between that and one that bears a local and indigenous name and all that? And take us through what are the difference in that, because we do see some of these brands in different parts of the world. They carry the same international brand, but they are localized. They're produced in those countries. Now, how does that play out with ours here? Would it have to be called indigenous only when it bears a name that is Nigerian? And how soon can we also replicate that in other countries?
Yes, the automotive industry is one of the most exciting in human history. As we all know, the automobile, I believe no other man-made product has so much emotional connection with humans as much as the automobile does. And it has transformed and evolved over the years since the first vehicle, the first Daimler, the first car ever made. It has come a long way. The vehicle itself has come a long way in the way it looks, in the way it functions, the way they are conceptualized, designed, developed, produced, and sold has also changed. Gone are the days where a company would produce 80, 90, 95% of the whole vehicle, the tires, the nuts and bolts, the seats. Production now has evolved to such a manner where it's a collaborative effort. It's truly global. A Toyota made in the United States has parts coming from Japan and other parts of the world.
Right.
A Chevrolet made in the United States has parts coming from China, Brazil, Canada, and other places. So what happens is a company that conceptualizes a vehicle, designs it, and then begins to engineer it. And even that engineering gets some design houses outside to help it with that engineering. And then all the different bits and pieces and components of that vehicle actually come from suppliers. So a vehicle is conceived by an entity, by a company, but it takes hundreds of other companies to make it happen, situated from around the globe. So when you talk about of a Nigerian vehicle, it's never ever going to be everything made in Nigeria.
Right.
That's not what to be proud of. What to be proud of is a vehicle designed and developed to fit the culture, climate, terrain, and economic structure of Nigeria, put together in Nigeria, creating jobs in Nigeria, applicable to our extreme environments in Nigeria, adding value to Nigerians every day. So we've gone beyond where if it's a Nigerian vehicle, everything has to be in Nigeria. The important thing is for that vehicle to add value to the lives of Nigerians. And I think we're doing it by multinational corporations and by indigenous corporations. So it takes both to really make this happen, and I believe we're on the right track.
Now, developing these talents, innovative talents, designers that we see here, we've had young people with little or no background, and coming up with amazing designs. What is your organization doing about those people? How much of encouragement do they get from the Automotive Council? And is there a deliberate development process for such young and smart kids we have on the streets today?
Yes, this is a very, very important question. And like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. We have done and will continue to play our role in developing local talent. All the countries and nations that have advanced, they do that because they believe in individual talents. Every person, every young girl, young boy is born with a talent. And talent doesn't have to be in design or any type of creativity. It could be in mathematics, in science, in management. You have geniuses in television, such as you. But each person has a talent. Some people go through life without understanding what their talent is, and some are fortunate enough to understand what it is and are helped to develop it. There are tons of talented young Nigerians. We have begun to identify some of them in the automotive sector. Those who are very good practically with automotive technology, we're taking them through training, and that is why we've built automotive training centers to do more of that. We've also started training young Nigerians in using advanced computerized software to design and develop vehicles and components. So we're doing that. What we hope to do is these that we've begun to identify. The report earlier mentioned that we're working on 2 Nigeria-specific vehicles. I can't mention what they are for confidentiality, right. But these would be vehicles that we've designed at NADDC. We're now taking them through the engineering and product development paces. We have identified young Nigerians that have gone through some of our training who will now be part of our team. As I speak, we have about 3 young Nigerians, very talented in automotive design, working with us. So we will continue to identify that type of talent and add value to it. And we'll also encourage parents, mentors to continue to identify what young Nigerians are good at under their mentorship, and don't force them to do what they are not meant to be, understand what they are good at, help them succeed, understand the paths that those whom they admire have gone through, help them go through that path so that they themselves become professionals that can add value either independently or through teams to make this country better.
Right. On the matter of designs, if you look at many modern vehicles these days, they all look the same. I mean, the matter of being streamlined has been carried to such levels where sometimes it's difficult to really tell the brand of a vehicle because basically they all look the same. Now, are we going towards that? Are we going to see these vehicles churned out from Nigeria looking like that? Because I hear someone say, oh, perhaps we might just come out with something which would look more like a box on wheels.
Yes. So in the early part of automotive history, cars had a lot of character because designers were free to just go crazy with it. So they came up with different forms and shapes, and each car had a unique identity. Then along came the need for aerodynamics, streamlining those vehicles, and they began to look similar. And unless you really sometimes looked at a vehicle for a long time, yes, they began to look like one another. But that phase is, and then that stopped, and then a group of young designers came onto the scene, and they began to design some crazy cars that looked, sometimes you wonder why it looks such a way. But now there's a fine balance beginning to happen. Right. Vehicles are looking very aerodynamic, and yet they have character. All you need to do is look at some of these new vehicles designed out there, and they are unique, streamlined, but very, with a lot of character.
Let me speak to Taiwo Shitu, Group Executive Director of Larry Shitu Motors, who's still with us. And what we're asking here is, in putting together most products, not just beyond automobiles, this is what I'm saying. Quite a number feel that one of the challenges we have here is finishing. Yes, we can get a lot of things manufactured here, but the finishing is always the challenge. You have so many rough edges. Now, and that is one of the fears of the industry now that we're coming into it. I mean, people are, well, apprehensive to some extent that can we begin to look at how to do proper finishing, especially taking into account safety measures, going by what's going on now. I'm sorry, Taiwo Shitu, can you unmute your audio? It would seem as if you're I mean,
oh, yes.
Okay,
yes,
fine.
Sorry.
Good.
Yeah,
right.
Okay. Like I said before, Nigerian automobile companies, especially the indigenous automobile company, they are in the lead. They are leading right now. And finishing is very, very important to any automobile. Finishing is very important. You'll be impressed to come around and see young Nigerians finish vehicles. Nigeria's got talent. Nigeria's got talent that can be compared to any other country in the world. I must tell you this, we have a lot of young engineers in Nigeria that are finishing from schools, but because of this scheme, this auto policy scheme, they now come out to perfect their dreams. And I can tell you, we have a lot of well-finished jobs. For our trucks, like the GAC we represent in Nigeria, it's been assembled from the beginning to the end, and we have a lot of the bodies, the buckets, the back of the body is being fabricated locally, 100% locally. We're patronizing the local steel industry, and I must tell you, the finishing is second to none. Can be compared to any other brand anywhere in the world. I can tell you this because we have a lot of young Nigerians, a lot of hungry young Nigerians that believe so much in this company, that believe so much in this country, and are doing everything it takes to get job done well. These same young Nigerians, they go abroad, they get the best awards abroad. But don't forget, most of them, their university days is here. What they need is the facility. What they need is the policies that will make them not leave Nigeria. A lot of young Nigerians want to stay here. They want to remain. But with this policy, I can tell you, a lot of Nigerian young guys and ladies, even girls, even a lot of Nigerian young girls, they finish school. Some of them are on IT, some of them are finished, some of them are on the graduate training, because in my company, we have this graduate training scheme, whereby when they come, you don't believe what these young people can do. And we just need to give them the opportunity. And we need to believe in this country and push more in investing in this, push more in investing in industrialization, because for any country to grow, industrialization is the top that is thinking about the future of its youth and not just today.
Okay. Thank you. Well, at this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, the phone lines will be open, and that means you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. We do expect that there will be so many questions that will come in for our guests tonight, but that will be after this short break. Stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live.
I am more than just an idea. I am alive, connected. I am part of an ecosystem, creating connections within an interactive and sustainable city. I am intentional about excellence, integrity, and efficiency. I am invested in building a sustainable future. I am committed to strategic partnerships and collaborations. I can be tough, and I can be tender. I take pride in delivering high standards. While there may be others, I am in a league of my own. I am more than just an idea. I am Bilal. Who are you?
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Yeah, thanks for staying with us. I was just having a peep at one of the designs here. Hopefully you'd get to see that. I was just having a peep at it, and it looks real good, especially for the terrain we're talking about. Well, thanks for being with us. It's that part of the program when you can join in the conversation. The numbers will be on your screens. We advise you take advantage of them. And as we always say every Tuesday, if your call gets through to the studio, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set. This is to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And also go straight to the point. And we always advise, don't bother about the greetings. Just hello is enough. Go straight on to the point, keep it short and straight to the point so others can also get on the platform and air their views. Whatever questions or comments you put across, our guests would be willing to address them as they come. So Welcome to this other part of the program. We'll just get started by taking this report from Oka by Chinyere Fesi Okoye. This is coming from Oka, this next report.
Full records have shown that Anambra State takes pride as one of the states in Nigeria to be lauded in automobile industry. This dates back to the old Anambra in the early 80s with the establishment of Anambra Motor Manufacturing Company, Anamco, in Emene, Enugu, the then capital of the state, where the Mercedes built its vehicle assembling plants. Since then, and with the citizens' ingenuity in the field of business, the state has been playing a vital role in complementing the federal government's efforts at reviving the nation's economy through its automobile industry. This commitment is even more evident at present with the establishment of a vehicle manufacturing company in Nnewi, the industrial hub of Anambra State.
Our challenges, Nigerian problems are tackling one by one. President Buhari have promised us that most of the issues will be settled.
Automobile industry being very symbolic and such a large employer and source of pride in many local economies, the federal government introduced the Nigeria Automobile Industry Development Plan in 2013 to revitalize the auto industry. However, the National Automobile Design and Development Council, NADDC, needs to put more efforts in ensuring full implementation of various policies put in place for the development of automobile industry in Nigeria.
And ensure that the great enabling environment for industries to thrive. Like my chairman have always stated that that, for example, the government should look into the tariff from the power holding company, that the tariff being given to the manufacturing companies is too high. You understand that they should look into it and see where they can be able to reduce it.
Some workers in the automobile industry in Anambra State speak.
Made in Nigeria product is strong, nice.
We have a caller on the line, Lukman, calling in from Ondo. Lukman, go ahead.
What I want to ask is, how can the
help Lukman from Ondo State, go ahead.
Reach the young youths of this great country? How can the help from the federal government reach? Because many of the youths of this country, we have many ideas, we have many way of passing our ideas. Even I've seen many people on social media that present many kinds of ideas, but they will not be heard. All of them, they will try their best, but they will never be heard. How can they be heard from the federal government? How can the federal government reach the young youths? How can they touch them? How can their funding touch them? That's what I want to know.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lukman from Ondo State. Well, yes, well, he's asking, there are quite a number of young people who have ideas. How can their voices be heard? How can they bring forth those ideas?
Yes, that's a very, very important question, and I think we touched a little bit on that. We have begun to identify talented Nigerians and to begin to understand how we can help them develop that talent to become professionals. Typically, when you have a talent, there are routes that you follow. There are types of schools or academies that you go to polish up your talent and become a professional so that you can work within a team or an organization. The report on the company out of Maiduguri that has worked on the minibus that is electric, we met with them last week. They brought over one of those vehicles for us to see. They did a fantastic presentation. I was really very impressed with what they have done. Now they're not stopping there. This is not where they started, and this is not where they're stopping. They're going forward to set up a production plant. So we, as a regulatory body, will work very closely closely with them to see how best they can do that in the most efficient manner so as to produce world-class vehicles that meet minimum world standards. So once we understand a talented youth or group of Nigerians who have a vision and a mission, we're very willing to sit down, talk to them, advise them, and see how they can develop their talents or the solution that they have brought forward.
All right, we have another caller, Farouk, calling in from Kano. Hello, Farouk, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Surya. Good evening.
Good evening, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling you from Kano, sir. I'm a technician of Mercedes-Benz. So right from my childhood. So all my brothers, about 5 of them, I groomed them, and all our house now, everybody in our house now is a technician. So I have been hearing of Mr. Jelani right from my almost my childhood. So I would like to have a contact with him, sir, because I even sent one of my son to Pan in collaboration with the Kano State government to Kaduna. He had a training of a 9-month training. So now, and he's operating his own mechanical workshop at Zaria Road in Kano, sir. So I don't know how I can reach him because I have a talented people with me around me.
Okay, fantastic. You'll talk about linking up with the Automotive Council, yes?
Yes, send us a message through our Facebook account or Twitter, and we'll respond to you as quickly as possible. I'd also like to mention that out of the automotive training centers we're building across the country, one of them is in Kano, and we're almost done with that. So that will give an added platform for us to really empower the youth of Kano and that surrounding area on mechatronics and other automotive-related fields. So we really do look forward from hearing from you and how we can really support you and those close to you in in adding more value to the Nigerian automotive sector.
Okay. Straight back to the phones, we have Emeka calling in from Lagos. Hello, Emeka.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, how are you? Yeah, how are you, sir?
Go right ahead, Emeka.
Yeah, I want to contribute to something in this program. Can I say something?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, my brother. What I'm trying to say that I so much love the last caller, you understand me, in this program. He said important things concerning the youth. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know how I can put it. Nigeria is not working out. The people that's supposed to be in that position is not in that position because of the connection they have. Are you getting me? Nigeria is supposed to go far from automobile because the people that are supposed to be in that position are not in that position. I don't know whether you're getting me.
Right. Who are supposed to be in which position?
Nigeria cannot move forward unless that people that are supposed to be in that position, that are supposed to be in that position.
Sorry,
That's what I can
which
say.
position are we talking about now?
You said what?
You said unless we're not moving forward in the automotive industry.
We are not moving
because
forward
people
in automobile.
In that position, which position?
What I'm trying to say, the people who read that course that are supposed to be in that position are not in that position. There is a lot of corruption in this country. That's what I can say.
All right. Emeka, thank you very much for calling in. We still cannot get exactly what you are alluding to, that the people who should be in that position, we would have needed to know which position especially with regard to the automotive industry. But thank you for calling in. Let's keep the calls coming through, and certainly whatever issues you raise, we'll address them. But let's get back to one of our guests now, Chinedu, who is Ogwebu, who is Managing Director of OMA, is in Lagos. Now, if you can hear me, Chinedu. Now, Yes, we do have very innovative and talented people and who are doing their best to join in this revolution. And you heard in one of our stories that said all that is needed is for consistency in policy and for agencies of government to do exactly what they're supposed to do to drive this policy, and it would be fine. Now, looking at it as a player in this industry, what are the challenges that you think must be surmounted as we get to reviving this industry in the country?
Industry, like every market, right? There are several challenges. Yeah, so like you said, everywhere in the world as well, government policy usually trails innovation. So sometimes the private sector is running a bit faster than, and then the governments are trying to catch up. So the one of the biggest challenges we face, locally is market access. So the truth is, in most countries, in most markets, vehicles or assets like vehicles are purchased with financing. So, but when you look at Nigeria, this was quite popular like a few years ago. So 2006 to 2008 and 2010, there was a lot of activity in the vehicle financing space, but that dried up after the financial crisis. So what would really drive up the volumes is where the end users are able to pay for these vehicles that we all assemble over time. So I'll say that that's one of the biggest challenge. Of course, the NIDP is yet to be signed. So the earlier that happens, the earlier as well we'll get investors, and we get a lot of traction in the space. But I'll say the biggest will be financing.
All right. Okay, let's get back to the phones. We have Moses who's calling in from Eula.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you at the studio. My call is to ask exactly what the mandate of the National Automotive Council of Nigeria is do with. If they are regulating bodies, and what exactly are they regulating? And clamoring for the need to develop that sector. We already have companies like Innocent and PAN in Kaduna, the Defense Youth Assembly of Nigeria, there, that in the first took over or the license to operate. Now, sir, a country that has always been clamoring to want to see a development in that sector and investment. We already have like Innocent and government dealing up. I overheard between or rather people are quite over 50 people have granted license to manufacture vehicles and all that. And we've not strengthened those in existence. Most of those people with licenses do not have the capacity to establish a plan. Rather, sometimes they want to connive. Do not think that they connive with outsiders. They want to bring in investment, and they do not have money. So apply the license and what we tell you other things. We should strengthen what is in existence. In reality, what is practicable. Rather than say, okay, we need talented and all those things. Then you fine. You can, like other scholars who, one of them from Kano, who want to have a contact with the revered Jelani we all had and are happy about him and his development outside of the country. He's making us proud and all that. Yes, he's now on board. I wouldn't want the way he speaks and understood everything. I don't want to believe he's one person that will have this Nigerian mentality of favoring sectionalism in terms of that development and other things. If you consider the woman in the East, he's doing very well. And how many of the government agencies and parastatals patronize that man, to encourage him to produce more and to correct whatever they don't want for his production. If he's doing so well, if there is any government intervention,
Moses, I'm afraid
about that. Sorry,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Moses, can you hear me?
I'm not speaking my mind. I want to understand some things.
Moses, if you can hear me,
Yes,
can you just go straight to the point you're trying to raise or the question? Now you've gone, but it's extremely difficult to get what you exactly want to. Just go straight to it. Simple. This is what I think. This is what I want to ask. It's straightforward.
Okay, one. I would suggest that there is known in existence. Are you with me, sir?
Mm-hmm.
If there is no one, I would suggest that in every state of the federation, there should be a contact office and a scout. How do I put it now? People from that agency or office, from Jelani's office, where it's heading, to scout for talented individuals to bring on board. One. Secondly, we should not be open to so many licenses, granting licenses to every Nigerian who will have a way to come and acquire a license to manufacture vehicles, and at the end of the day, they are not up anywhere. We should encourage those local ones, those Innocent and the ones in Lagos, in Kano, and everywhere, to come on board. So from there they can set off plans. Let's say every Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C having a plan to build a car plant anywhere. They can expand before anyone. Let this business. But let's.
Okay, fine. From all I can put together, you want to know whether it's open, this encouragement is open to anyone from any part. Well, perhaps a DG here would speak on that.
Yes, I'm not sure I followed all that you had mentioned because I think the line has there's a little bit of a problem with the connection. But we must continue to remember and acknowledge that Nigeria is a democracy. Any person with the capability to prove him or herself in a certain manner that will add value to the economy and to the society will not be stopped by government, and that person would be given all the needed support that they need to achieve their objective. So we have a number of producers and assemblers in Nigeria. I think the matter here is, and I'm not sure why, Nigerians find it hard to believe that the automotive sector is successful. Probably people expect a made-in-Nigeria vehicle to look like it came out of the 60s or 70s. No. The vehicles that are produced and assembled in Nigeria are as good as those made anywhere in the world because these are internationally credible companies that work at high caliber. A vehicle assembled or produced in Nigeria, let's say by Honda or by Hyundai or by Innoson, must meet minimum global standards. And that is why Innoson not too long ago got the MANCAP certificate showing that the vehicles had gone through stringent engineering tests and had passed them. So we have made progress. We have to begin to think positive. The narrative has changed. Nigeria is producing vehicles. Nigerian companies are exporting vehicles to Mali and other countries. We're about to start doing that to probably other parts of the world. We were in South Africa not too long ago at the IATF, and we exhibited, we sort of promoted the vehicles made in Nigeria. People were excited. Yes, it is hard to believe that we do make vehicles. I understand that. A vehicle is a very sophisticated piece of machinery, but we have made progress. All you have to do is go around Lagos, Ota, Nnewi in Anambra State, Kano, Kaduna, and see the magnificent work these people are doing. People believe in the Nigerian automotive sector and they have invested in it. We are producing vehicles. We are assembling vehicles. We are coming with unique vehicles that are applicable to Nigeria. We are producing electric vehicles, gas-powered vehicles. We gotta move beyond saying Nigeria can't do this, can't do that. We are doing it. We are keeping up with the rest of the world in terms of automotive sector, and we will give, as a federal government, we will continue to give all the necessary support to whoever proves that, yes, they can make a difference.
Right. I'll just take it up from where you left off. Some Nigerians find it very difficult to believe that something good can come out of this country in terms of production, and that is already happening. It's the same way some Nigerians too wouldn't believe easily that everyone who heads an agency such as this merits it. But Jelani Aliu is no stranger to this industry. We didn't quite state so many things at the start of this program because, this is our own, and in other parts of the world, hardly anyone would be asking who is Jelani Aliu. Having been at General Motors, and if I'm not mistaken, a lead designer for General Motors. And that is a Nigerian who Nigerians and Nigeria celebrated and who had done so much in fact, I do recall that in my very first interview with Jelani Aliu when he was still in the US, it went on air and some people said they couldn't believe that that was a Nigerian. Today he's the DG of the Automotive Council, and I'd like also to say not many believed that he would have come back to Nigeria because which was one of the questions I asked, because they said, what would he be coming to do, to start from scratch? All right. So let's go to Sunday from Edo, who's calling in.
I can hear you.
Right. Go ahead, Sunday.
Can hear you?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Sunday. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry for me. Yeah, I can still know. So what I want to ask is that I see this young man, is it Tawu short Shitu?
Yes.
And he was saying that they take a lot of young ones on the street, try to train them up, and in place of training them, they pay them, and at the end of the training, they will provide job for them. So I want to know, where is this taking place from? Is it from Lagos or from Abuja or from every other state? That is the reason why I want to know, because I see a lot of guys, a lot of young ones who are dropped out from school. They don't have jobs, so they are wandering around. I don't know if this kind of opportunity is available.
All right, that's a question for Taiwo Shitu, Group Executive Director of Lanre Shitu Motors, and I'm sure he heard you, so maybe he can respond to that. He said you still see a lot of youths walking around without jobs, so you're wondering when he says there's a deliberate effort to train people. Well, he can answer that if he's with us, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Talking about our empowerment scheme, it's a program we started about 9 years ago, so it's not new. We have people we've sent out of our scheme. To mention a few of them, we have some of them working in Amasco. Amasco is in Kano. We have some of them working in AgroTrader. AgroTrader happens to be the biggest cocoa farmer in Nigeria and exporter in Nigeria. They export cocoa proceed. This I'm just giving an example. Just let me give two examples. These are people that came into our company without knowing anybody. They just finished school. They had passion. They had belief. Like I said, there are a lot of young Nigerians with passion to drive success. They don't want to be like every normal people that want to be smoking drugs, moving around. There are a lot of young Nigerians that are hungry to do the right things in the right way. Many of them approach us, and when they come to us, the criteria that you must be able to read and write. You don't even have to have a BSc or a school cert. As long as you can read and write, because of the technology of these days now, you must be able to document some things. As long as you can do that, you come into our office, you send your application. Once you send the application to us, we have our branches in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, Kano, Ilorin. And in all these places, we have the scheme across. For example, Desmond Elliott, that's honorable representing Sulere 1. Right now, we have 10 people that is sent to us under a scheme. He got to know about this scheme, and he picked some people out of Sulere, out of Mojuelegba, some of them from around Sulere, and he approached us and said, "Oh, he heard about this scheme," and he's a living witness to this, and that this is happening. We were able to take 10 of these locals, indigenous, out of the streets. While and the good thing is this: we pay them from day one. We pay them from day one. We don't wait for you to finish, because we understand that you have to transport yourself home. You have to be able to get home and get back. And the second year, we increase your salary by another 10,000 naira. Then the third year, we increase your salary again by another 20,000 naira. Then the fourth year, we increase your salary again by another 10,000 naira. So by then you should be earning nothing less than 50,000 naira. But by then, we believe that we have passed the knowledge to you. We have a training school. We have a training facility in Lagos, Abuja, and Lagos, Abuja, and Ilorin.
I think so far the caller must have, if you're still listening, he would have received just all about he needs to know about whether the scheme is actually working or not. So it's up to him. But back to the phones now. Let's link up with Mustafa, who's calling in from Maiduguri. Mustafa, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Mustafa, calling from Maiduguri. So as I would say a contributor, a player in the automobile industry. So, to me, the whole automobile industry has been left for the foreign companies and, let me say, foreign investors to handle the whole thing. That's why most of the vehicles we are producing or assembling here in Nigeria are not affordable to Nigerians. So the main point here is we need to come back to our tables, to draining tables. Let's know what our people can afford. What most of the vehicles you see around in the streets are within the range of 1 to 5 million. 90% of the vehicles in Nigeria are within the range of 1 to 5 million. So let's come down to our drawing tables. Let's see how we can produce vehicles that our people can afford.
Okay.
I think to me that's the way forward to the whole automobile industry.
Thank you. We'll refer this suggestion to Ibrahim Isa Gachi, who's the MD of Dangote Peugeot Automobiles Nigeria. You heard the man. He says, how would these vehicles become affordable? Of course, I don't want to think he means that we should be buying brand new cars like I did in my day for 3,000 naira. but go on. Yes, Engineer Ibrahim Isa Gachi, if you're there.
Thank you. What's making the vehicles very costly is the purchasing power of Nigerians has dropped. And that's why they can't afford to buy brand new cars. With an improvement in the economy, I'm sure, and Nigerians will be able to buy new cars, and also some purchasing schemes whereby you pay installmentally, which most local assemblers are about to begin, especially our own company, Dangote Peugeot Automobiles Nigeria Limited. We have that in our plans so that you can approach us and pay installmentally and afford to buy or get a brand new car. But it's not that the manufacturers are just putting prices arbitrarily. If you take the foreign exchange in Nigeria, it has also gone up. If you take the cost of logistics in Nigeria and other manufacturing costs, you'll find that most of the assemblers are not making very huge profits as the purchasers are thinking. And they are just putting their cars very expensive. No. I think it's the economy that is making the cars unaffordable and not the manufacturers. And with good government policies, protective policies for the local assemblers, patronage, and availability of foreign exchange, then the manufacturers will begin to reduce their prices because the cost of manufacturing will also drop. So that's what I have to say about the purchasing of the cars being very expensive.
Okay, let's see if we can still link up with Manish Rotagi, if he's still with us. The Managing Director of Automobiles and as well as Stallion and Stallion Auto Keke Limited. Manish Rotagi, if you're still with us, there's also this question of affordability. Maybe you'd like to address that from your perspective.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, affordability has been a challenge. And when we see affordability, it's not only about the acquisition cost, it's also about getting a vehicle financing easily available. So, to address this situation, we have been trying to reach out to different banks and financial institutions. Coming back to the question asked by one of the caller about empowerment and employment in the nation. Since I also represent Stallion Auto KK, we have recently tied up with the Lapo Microfinance Bank, where they provide all the youths, they provide loans instantly. And once they get the loan, we deliver the KK, and from tomorrow, the youth who's stranding on the road and he's not able to get anything to eat, from day after tomorrow he's able to get his money. These are very innovative things. Affordability is not only about the cost of the vehicle. Affordability is also about if we are able to provide a easy financing option to somebody to buy. And I think going forward, as DG also, I think when I met him some time back, he said he's already worked out with some of the banks to come out with the strategic partnership where we don't have to pay entire money immediately. We just pay 10% or 15%, and rest we can pay installmentally. I think affordability is also about that. As Mr. Ibrahim said, there are a lot of factors which are making the overall cost little high. But vehicle financing can make it much more affordable. And by and large, Nigerians are, they have the intent to pay back the money. So I believe if banks are more coming forward, affordability can be settled easily.
All right. If we still have Rajinder Malhan with us, if you're still with us in Dubai, maybe we'd like to ask you to also comment on the question of financing and affordability. You did say Nigeria is a huge market and people would be ready to, willing to invest. And the thinking here is that the more investments you have in this industry, perhaps with the right circumstances, the lower the cost of owning them would be. Would you like to comment on that, Rajinder?
Yes, Cyril.
Yeah, good.
It is 3 a.m. in Dubai, and I have a few comments to make on this question and what you had asked earlier. You said mass transit and transportation of people is so crucial for Nigeria. Now, this can only be possible with public-private partnership. The government has to create the infrastructure for the public transportation and support the purchase of buses. For example, I give you an example of India. The state transport corporations are buying 150,000 buses a year. I think in Nigeria, the total purchase of new buses will not cross more than 3,000 to 4,000 a year. That's number one. The second one of affordability, we had the same problem in India. We could never afford a car because imports were too costly. The government and private sector started a people's car, Suzuki. And that was the start of the nascent automotive industry in India. They built up components, even today, Suzuki holds more than 60% of the Indian auto market. Mr. Jelani, with your guidance, a people's car is the call of the day. You have got so many innovative Nigerians. Get one partner with you to develop a car which is within the means, like he said, 1 to 5 million naira. Today, you can't get any decent car new with all the duties and landed costs going below 4 million to 5 million naira. That is point number one. The second one, with issues of which Cyril asked, safety measures. You are doing a lot of work in the design centers, but what we do need is an auto testing and certification center, either a European firm, Brazilian firm, Spanish firm, or an Indian firm can support you to set up an automotive testing center. How can we have a vehicle which has not done a crash test going on the road if it is designed from scratch? The second one is the big concept which Dr. Jelani is trying to do, EV. For EV, it is again a public-private partnership. The charging infrastructure has to be installed on a pay-as-you-use basis by the government and the private sector. That can make a major change in the public transport scenario. So we are committed to that. We are working closely with NADDC to make it really happen. But the infrastructure is what the government will have to support to make it happen. You have the funds. Please support it. I'm sure the transportation industry or the transportation mode for the public will become far more affordable and reliable. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And back in the studio here, well, Jelani, you've listened to some of those questions and then the answers proffered by the other guests here. So now let's bring it to you. In addition to that, we'd also talk about the question of the electric cars and the ones powered by solar. But let's go straight to this matter of affordability and putting together cars that can be affordable, although I also find it a little bit difficult to now envisage what is affordable given the GDP today.
Yes. Affordability is relative,
right,
based on the purchasing power of the market. We do know that the purchasing power of the average Nigerian is far below global standards, but nonetheless, efforts are being made to help the average Nigerian attain a vehicle. The vehicle finance scheme, we're sort of putting the final dots on that as we work with WEMA, Jaiz, and Zenith banks. As soon as we iron all these agreements out, we'll be able to roll out a vehicle finance scheme primarily funded by government and these banks. What we hope to do is once that gets going, to get all the other banks that we haven't even started with at the very beginning to also come into the program. And yes, I do agree, an affordable car right from the start in terms of how it's designed, developed, and produced. And I wish I could show that. I can't. I wish I could, but I can't.
Oh, well, but okay, we'll still get to look
show
at
it to you.
Right. Okay.
Privately. It was very confidential. But we have started working on an affordable Nigerian vehicle, and we're working towards producing a fully functional prototype that companies in Nigeria can then take and mass produce. We as government can only act as catalyst and come up with concepts that are doable, that are realistic, and then because government is not in the business of business, but we will act as catalysts, come up with this concept with the support of stakeholders, and then have the stakeholders themselves that are in Nigeria mass produce this vehicle for Nigeria and Africa and hopefully to the world. So we hope to very soon unveil that vehicle to the public, but as of now, it's very confidential, but
right,
we are working on that perfect mousetrap.
Okay. Now the question of the electric cars, which you're seeing now. The world is moving to cleaner energies, and we're thinking here, is Nigeria really ready for that? And you know, the first thing you hear, you know, once you bring up the matter of an electric car, people would say to you, look, why don't we just power our homes first and get through that before we begin to think of powering the vehicles, because where are we going to get the power from?
Right. Yes. Electric vehicles are an interesting lot. They are sci-fi, they are crazy technology, but they're also realistic. They're very real, they're with us. When we started to promote vehicle electrification way before the first one was assembled by Hyundai, Stallion Group, a lot of people thought we were crazy. The same thing you mentioned, they're saying you can't even power your homes, schools, and businesses. How are you going to power this vehicle? We said, yes, that is true. We do have problems with power, but one must never be defined by his or her current challenges. One must always be defined by what he or she can achieve and by a better tomorrow. We know we are bigger than those problems, and we will work to resolve them. So we supported Hyundai. They went ahead and they started to assemble the Kona. And then back to the problem of power, we looked around, we looked up, we said solar. So we designed, strategized, and built two 100% solar-powered charging stations, the first in Sokoto, the second in Lagos. They were commissioned last year. Now we're working on the third one in Nsukka. And we cited these 100% solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations, not just to prove that the concept works. We cited them in universities. The one in Sokoto at Usman Danfodio, and the University of Lagos, and now University of Nigeria in Nsukka, so that young Nigerians would touch, feel, kick this technology, and come up with even more applicable solutions for Nigeria and Africa. So electric vehicles are real. They're here. The Hyundai Kona is being produced, assembled in Nigeria. Another company, Jet Systems, they're testing their electric van, 100% electric, in collaboration with GIG Logistics in Lagos. We have 2-3 more companies that are also about to introduce electric vehicles. So we are in the game. They are real, and they're actually better for Nigeria. We all know that we don't have that maintenance culture. People don't change their engine oil. They just keep driving the car until it breaks down. An electric vehicle doesn't need that. It has no engine oil, no pistons, no rings, no crankshaft. All those things that could go wrong because Nigerians neglect them won't even be there, talk less of going bad.
Yeah, but you do have the tires and, and all those other stuff, which...
every car must have.
Okay, and you would have to change them when they're due.
Definitely.
So the maintenance culture would still go on. So just in case some begin to think, oh, well, how about having a car that is maintenance-free? You just drive from day one until you get tired of it and dump it. But then... if we were to just go a step further and look at all these efforts that are being put together, the question would be, when in the earliest can citizens begin to see the results of what's been put together so far? And that's one part of it. The second part is you do hear a lot of Nigerians say one of the biggest challenges will be policy inconsistencies. Now, this has all been driven. What's in place to ensure that by the time Jelani Aliyu is through with his assignment and goes back to the US, and different administrations have come in, these efforts would remain sustainable and would be the driving force for keeping the wheels turning, and so we don't get back to that period when things had to shut down.
Yes, the automotive policy has always been in existence. What has happened is when you say the inconsistency in the policy, NADDC and our ministry have been consistent in what we want. We want a policy that will protect local production. We have been getting tremendous amount of support from our ministry, from our honorable ministers. We've been getting tremendous amount of support from the presidency, from Mr. President, so much that the automotive policy now is a presidential priority project. So what we're doing is we're reviewing the policy to be more applicable to global automotive sector, to be more in tune with what in the best interest of Nigerian automotive sector locally. And then we're also getting very strong support from the National Assembly. And so we believe that as soon as we're done with the review, which we're engaging an international consultant to do, when it goes back to the National Assembly in the next 2-3 months, that it comes back and is assented to by Mr. President so that it is backed by a legal framework which will make it impossible to change, and then that policy will more or less be written in stone to support further production of vehicles within Nigeria.
Just a quick one here. What would you say to Nigerians who have the penchant for anything coming from somewhere else but Nigeria? And now all these efforts are coming to fruition and a vehicle is produced here. What do you say to Nigerians? Give them the kind of confidence that they can go for these vehicles as against going for those ones. We love bringing it.
Yes. I would say that the vehicles produced in the country are of the same standards as the vehicles produced anywhere, because these companies are doing these things, they meet minimum global standards. A company in Nigeria that has a particular type of vehicle is putting together here and a similar vehicle overseas, they both meet the same standards. So I think the world has changed where vehicles now, like I said, people expect a made in Nigeria vehicle to look rickety. No, these vehicles that are already being produced here are of the same standards as the ones elsewhere. And actually even better, because they are developed and put together for our extreme conditions, so you'd expect that vehicle to perform better in this extreme environment.
Okay, so as we wind down, I'll just go to our other guests, and it's a straightforward question here. Let me just go straight to Engineer Ibrahim Isa Gachi, and this is straightforward. What would you say to the suggestion? Some people have suggested that one of the best ways to make this industry grow, outlaw the use of foreign vehicles by government establishments. What would you say to that?
Yes, I will support that because the local manufacturers need protection from the government.
Thank you.
And once that can be done, then it can improve on their capacity, and there will be a lot of technology transfer into Nigeria. There will be a lot of employment generation in Nigeria. And the government should be encouraged to do that.
Okay, so I'll put the same question to Taiwo Shitu, Group Executive Director, Lanre Shitu Motors via Zoom. Would you support a ban on government establishments? Well, you say government should show the way. Let no government official drive any foreign made. Let it be a Nigerian car. Would you agree to that? Well, okay, we'll just try to link up. We could quickly run out of time. If we could get Chinedu Ogwebu to also comment on that question. Quickly, Chinedu.
Yeah, sure. Government should lead by example. So we should buy local to grow the country. So I'll support the our government buys locally assembled vehicles. And by government is one of the biggest buyers of new cars anyway. So they are inadvertently supporting imports if they are buying or not buying from local assemblers.
All right, thank you so very much. And well, we'll have to leave this conversation at this point. As I always say, no one program can take care of all aspects of any issue. So this is where we must leave this conversation and maybe pick it up again sometime later. For now, we would like to thank all our guests. We'd like to say thank you very much to Jelani Aliyu, MFR, Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC. It's always a pleasure to have you talk about this. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
And we'll still look forward to discuss in greater detail what efforts are going on and the results. And well, I might still have that privilege to have a sneak peek of
yes
of that design.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Tuesday Live. Right.
Yes.
And to our other guests, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you. Bye-bye. Engineer Ibrahim Isa Gachi, Managing Director at Dangote Peugeot Automobiles Nigeria Limited. Manish Rotagi, Managing Director Vaughan Automobiles Nigeria Limited, and also Managing Director Stallion Auto Keke Limited. Rajinder Malhan, Executive Director Stallion Group, who joined us via Zoom from Dubai. Taiwo Shitu, Group Executive Director Lanre Shitu Motors who joined us from Lagos via Zoom as well, and Chinedu Ogwebu, Managing Director, OMA. He also joined us via Zoom from Lagos. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for being on this program.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
And so thank you to you two for participating, those who called in and those who stayed with us this far. We thank you for being part of this program. Next week, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stover. Continue to stay safe.